Hello everyone. In this video I would like to review your first group project in this class. This assignment is called a Viewpoint Summary and Argument Mapping Assignment. To understand the background of this assignment, I want you to think of essays you've summarized, articles you've analyzed, and perhaps any attempt at outlining an argument of an author. For this assignment, you are going to be placed in a group. In this particular class, English 102, Spring 2023, there are two groups in the class. We've got Group A and Group B. Group A, you are reading an article or a report called Stress in America 2022, Concern for the Future Beset by Inflation. Now, this article has got an author. The author is an organization. For Group B, you're reading Youth Mental Health, Can the Crisis Be Erased? This is by Barbara Mantell. She is a researcher who works for the CQ Researcher. And this is an individual author, different from American Psychological Association. Here's the background to this. Now, when it comes to summarizing viewpoints, it's possible you may not like the viewpoints, but you do it because you're trying to give a fair description of what the perspective says. Now, when it comes to mapping an argument, this also requires some simple procedures, and we'll go over the steps of what I want you to do when you map an argument. And I have information posted on D2L concerning some pointers on how you can map an argument and what I expect you to see, what I expect to see when you map an argument for this project. Think about it. In college, you all have to produce academic papers. In research reliant disciplines, it's expected that you turn in papers that show that you understand evidence, that you're able to analyze and you're able to summarize. Now, if you think about it in the real world, engaging in arguments, engaging in the free exchange of ideas takes maturity. For instance, if you're going to have a debate or a conversation with your professor or your classmate or your employer, it's expected that you're able to articulate what you want. If you are working as a manager, it's important that you're able to understand the perspective of your employees. So knowing how to summarize a perspective that is different from yours, or perhaps something you agree with, matters a lot, especially in college. Now, for this assignment, it's challenging you to examine the article by your assigned authors or assigned text, and who use the tools of critical thinking, argumentative writing, and research to make their various cases. So we're looking especially at the topic of mental health and youth, stress and health stresses among Americans in the age of uncertainty. So these topics are all relevant to the readings that each group has selected or has been assigned. Here are the learning outcomes and what I expect you to achieve after completing this assignment. And here are some suggestions on how you can go about collaborating. I would emphasize the first bullet here. Be flexible regarding schedule, responsibilities, and communication preferences. Groups who do well are usually the ones that are flexible with your schedule, are flexible with meeting and discussing, and with their communication preferences most especially. So that's something you should figure out amongst yourself, how you're going to communicate and work to complete this deliverable. I've also given some suggestions how you can go about starting this assignment, planning and executing the group project. You all, I would say, need to read your assigned text as an individual. Don't wait for your group members to read it. You have a responsibility to read it yourself as an individual before you meet as a group to discuss your approach. So right here, I've provided some suggestions on how you as a group can break down your responsibilities. Maybe decide somebody is going to be the argument mapper, somebody is going to be the researcher, and somebody is going to manage their documents. Preferably, the group leader would compose the group progress reports and email to me. And I have a sample template on D2L for you to look at. Then on the day you're presenting, you would have somebody, I repeat, somebody, or perhaps all of you, take turn to review, to describe, to narrate your slides to the class. And this will be recorded. Now, here are my specifications. Here's what I want to see in your PowerPoint presentation. I need to see an introduction. You introduce the author of the text, or perhaps the organization who produced the text, which those of you in Group A would have to do. Now, if in Group B, the author is clear, so you would provide information on that person as well. You are supposed to map out the arguments, at least I said at least 3 of them. You're supposed to discuss the relevance of your assigned text and present a well-developed, organized PowerPoint presentation on Zoom. Okay? If you want to do research for the extra credit, go for it. Why not? Now, when we look down, and here I have information what I'm expecting to see, the deliverable in your PowerPoint presentation. So if I were you, take note of this. I also take note of the assignment specification as well. Now, for my grading criteria, I try to be clear to say that this is how I'm going to grade it. When I'm looking at your project, I'm going to grade your progress reports. So you should take a look at the sample progress report I posted. I will be looking at how effectively you organize your PowerPoint slides, and also to see how you outline arguments if you're assigned author or assigned text. Hopefully you're not putting a spin around their points. Now, in terms of extra credit, there are 10 points in extra credits. I'm going to make you work for the extra credits, which means that you have to find another article, and at least you're going to, if you want to, map out at least one argument provided by the author. If that works in your favor, which you should be prepared to, if you find a logical fallacy that stems out from that reading, you can address it here in the extra credit part of your assignment. And here are the important dates. The date when you have to turn in the progress reports, the date when you have to submit the PowerPoint presentation for your peers to see and view and learn, hopefully. And then there's, after you submit your project, you have to respond to critical questions asked to your assigned group. So if George is in Group A and Jane is in Group B, I expect that George and Jane will respond to each other's posts, but I would assign the responsibility to group members. So you all have a group responsibility, and after turning in the work, you have an individual responsibility as well. That's it for my presentation on the Viewpoint Summary and Argument Mapping Assignment. I will discuss more in class.